Hey everyone, this is Kayla Duncan with Julie Stern's Learning Transfer Team, and I wanted to go through my math example for our digital planning template. We know that there have been an abundance of resources that have been shared with you, and at times it can seem overwhelming. We created this template as a way to consolidate and have a one-stop shop where you can organize your thoughts and even share it with students to act as a form of a pathway or playlist. We know that it's critical to make sure that learning at home is still relevant and meaningful, but we're not naive enough to think that students can do this all on their own for the same amount of time that they would have done in the classroom. We show you how to think through quick 20 to 30-minute chunks per day so that students are thinking deeply, but they're not feeling overwhelmed or anxious. With my example, I titled it Put Your Money Where Your Mouth Is. It's a middle grade, approximately 6th, 7th grade example. And I wanted to think of something that would be meaningful, but also review standards that are covered in our Georgia Standards of Excellence. So where I started is with our learning targets. The concepts are written in bold, and I wanted to think through, okay, what content do I really want my students to understand? The next place that I went was, how can I make sure that there's a real world connection? I didn't want to only focus on academics at this point in time. I really want students to see and apply their learning in a real world setting. Next, I thought about my real world connection and my targets, and I moved to my conceptual questions. We have great stems that you can reach on the template that's linked at the top. And with these, I kept it to 2 to 3 questions for each week that I planned because we don't want to overwhelm students. And I feel like these questions really honed in on what I wanted students to take away and notice throughout the lessons this week. And then finally, evidence of learning, or my success criteria. When I'm going through and formatively assessing, have students master the material, here's really what I'm going to be looking for. That's what I'm thinking of with evidence of learning. It doesn't have to be a standalone activity. If I see that throughout my learning experiences, students are doing these things, then I know that they really understand the content. Next, I went to my learning experiences. I have my targets and my real world connection. I have the questions that I want the students to answer, and I know what I'm expecting to see. So now how can I plan that in a meaningful way for students? I thought through the days 1 through 5 and thinking in 20 to 30-minute chunks, how can I start simply and build to more complex thinking throughout? So you'll notice as I go through the days, I'm starting with a simple activity that's going to ground the rest of the learning experiences. I work through a Freyer model, really building that background vocabulary, some conceptual understanding. And then as we're going through, I start embedding my conceptual questions. And by the end of the week, I'm wanting students to put all of their learning together and to articulate the connections between the concepts they've studied. After I've created my learning experiences, I look through, and that's where I note the different digital tools that will best help me be successful at delivering this content and for students to access and interact with the content. On the second week that I planned, you'll see it's continuation from the first week. I'm still going based off of the grocery list, but here's where I've built on that a little bit more and brought in a few more real world connections. In addition to looking at unit rate, proportions, measures of center, I've also brought in sustainable development goals, national average in terms of pay, and then also how students can take action on reducing food waste and providing meals to others. So instead of having these as separate standoff activities, they've been layered on with real world connection and mathematics together so that students see math in a relevant and meaningful way, and they also feel empowered to do something that will benefit others during this time of crisis. More examples of plans, resources that we've put together, continue checking our YouTube playlist, and also go to www.edtosavetheworld.com, where we're constantly updating blogs, including new material. We would love to connect with you. Find us on Twitter. My handle is at Mrs. Kayla Duncan. You can contact Julie at Julie H. Stern and Trevor at Mr. Alio Says. We look forward to connecting.